Would like to lead off this Saturday by saying thank you to everyone who continues to join us here at the Florida Maquis YouTube channel, and especially those of you who have stepped up and joined us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, where it's only $1. Now, while here at the YouTube channel, we can have a good, thoughtful conversation as long as everyone maintains decorum. Over at the Patreon channel, you can kind of let loose a little more. You can say what's really on your mind and not have to worry about censoring every word. It is unfortunate that I have to police the comment section here at YouTube because, believe it or not, I'm actually held accountable personally for the comments I allow. It's as if I said it. So if you see a comment disappear or if you've seen a thread disappear on a certain video, it's because something was said that I didn't want to be held accountable for. But once again, if you'd like to join us at Patreon where none of that is necessary, it's only $1 per month. And guys, it makes such a huge difference in my life. Thank you so much. It has allowed me to do things that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. And I am absolutely humbled by the huge amount of people that have showed up over there. If it's not for you, it's fully refundable first 90 days. And there's already hundreds of videos over there. So you can go over there for 3 months and peruse whatever you want. And once again, not for you, you can get all $3 back. It's even less if you sign up for an entire year. We can partner with Vimeo to do this. So once again, thank you very, very much. Primarily over there, we talk about psychological operations, the idea that there are those out there who have the ability to make you believe you're thinking when really all you're doing is feeling. You're just assessing emotions, and there are certain tactics and techniques. We talk about the 24 cognitive biases, the 24 logical fallacies, and we show how those are implemented in the mainstream media and in legacy media and in different online platforms to kick people out of their brain, really, and get them into their heart. And here's the key: without them realizing it. Now, would like to give a shout out once again to the Patriot Nurse. She has put up a video recently titled "Everything You Know is About to Change, the Next Cycle of History." And she talks about how things are going to change radically in this country and how people are going to need to get skills for themselves again in a way that they haven't had in quite some time. Now, I've made the allegation with a lot of pushback that the reason our country has a lot of people who don't have those kind of skills anymore like we used to is because we live in a socialist country. So many things are done for you. We have a 911 system, and we have police, and we have fire, and we have all of these different things, government working behind the scenes to protect, this, that, and the other in your life. And what the Patriot Nurse is saying here is that when things start to fall apart, that's all going to go away, and you're going to need to learn how to protect yourself. And one of the ways that you can do that is take her online course. I have personally taken it. It's a little over $100. It's worth 10 times that. Maybe more, depending on the situation you're in. Now, the reason I brought up this particular video is because down in her comment section, somebody said something that I think is very, very prescient. And it's a personal experience. The commenter is Moscow Cowboy _13. Now, this particular comment has 645 likes, which is a lot of likes. And I'm pretty sure it's the number one comment. This person states, "My wife and I moved to Florida 3 years ago, and we were excited to have good health care. We are in our 50s, which, speaks to me because I am also in my 50s. After several attempts to see doctors and specialists here, it has become painfully clear that medicine in America has fundamentally changed. After getting a blood clot and taking blood thinners, I told my doctor I didn't think the 2020 solution was a good idea. She went nuts." Pay attention here. Totally emotional breakdown and performance, telling how everyone is, from it. There are no hospital beds available. One time, I complained about pain in my throat and she didn't even look. I ended up with full-blown all over my body candida outbreak. Could have been avoided. Refused to refill asthma. Told him to go to an ER. And this is when this guy had full health insurance. And this guy basically states, "We try to eat right, use homeopathic remedies when possible, and study the Word of God daily. You don't go to the doctor to get better. You go there to get sick and waste a ton of money." This is what's happening. The emotionalism is starting to take over. And this is the angle that I have tried to open up with the Patreon channel. A lot of people have gotten annoyed. Florida Monkey, you're always pushing your Patreon channel. What we're talking about over there is very important. It is very important to get the skills that the Patriot Nurse is talking about, but it is also very important to be able to ascertain those around you who are operating from a state of emotion versus a state of thought. One of the reasons that I've watched the Patriot Nurse for so long is I can tell that when she does her videos, it is all based on operations out of thought. She has literally thought about what she is saying, what she believes, and how to articulate it. Some have said she has this amazing ability to speak for long periods of time, not from a script. That's evidence of thought, not emotion. She doesn't ramble. Every thought leads to a next thought, leads to a next thought, leads to a next thought. And I think a lot of you have seen this as well. So anyway, I just wanted to share this, and if you can, take her course. Even if you can't train with her in person. I know this year she said that she's not going to be going to as many places. I think she's going to be in Montana and Utah. I believe she said Texas. She'll be in Tennessee, but not as many as she usually goes to. So getting the online course, getting the online training is going to be something I think is going to be critical for a lot of people to do. So anyway, I just also wanted to answer a question in today's video that I get a lot. Florida Mucky, why do you focus so much on Antarctica? Yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's, doesn't seem like it would be worthy of as much attention as you pay to it. Well, over the last 3 to 4 years, I have compiled hundreds of images from the satellites. And this particular collage that I've put together is only about 35 of those images. Now, to have literally made all of this up, it would have been virtually impossible to do. All of these images that I would have no control over. Right in the dead center, we have something that looks just like a moai head. Right next to it, looks like a building with a giant moat around it. There's at least 1, 2, 3 different examples of skulls. There's the bow of a ship. There is what looks like flying saucer craft trapped under the ice. There's the picture of a head of a bird. There's a shadow that looks like it's a castle. There are openings cut in the side of mountains that look like they have been engineered. And countless other things. Pyramids. What looks like the remains of walls. All sorts of strange things that just to some people that just can't handle, the idea that this could really be existing the way that it is in Antarctica. This is why I focus on it. But why me specifically? Well, it has to do with an experience that I had many, many years ago in South America. Now, what you're looking at is what they call a shoebill crane. It's a very large bird, as birds go. Has a very large, pronounced beak, and it's will startle you the first time you see one. Now, I saw something in the jungle down there that was not a shoebill crane. It was much larger. Now, you can take pictures of this bird, and in perspective, you can make it look larger than what it is. Like, for example, here, it looks like it's way larger than the woman photographer, taking the picture. But here, you can see that it stands, about shoulder height to a woman. It's not a very, very big animal, but, as far as birds go, it's very, very large. What I saw in the forests in South America was something like this. This is a bird that they said died out a long time ago called Kelenken. 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 Now, this has allegedly been extinct for millions of years. What I saw, I did not see for very long. It could have been this. Diatrema. As you can see, these two have a very similar appearance, and in the jungle, in low light, you might be able to mistake one for the other, but they're both supposed to be dead. They're both supposed to be long since gone. Now, I know for a fact what I saw was not this. It was this or this. But I very much doubt anyone would believe me. Now, what does that have to do with anything? That's exactly what happened to the Spanish conquistadors. When they came to the New World, and it was a week's journey to get to the West Indies, to get to La Florida, to get to South America, they saw things that didn't exist in Spain. They saw things that didn't exist in the world. And many people thought that these sailors coming back telling these stories were just off their rockers. They had gotten on some type of substance or spice or alcohol, and they had just completely made up in their minds what they were seeing. Like, for example, here in Florida. Now, of course, upper left is the common brown anole lizard. Now, when you look at one, he's got, the big orange, throat, and he's got the ridges on the back, but they're, maybe a couple inches long, and they're all over the place. Now, right next to that is a tegu, size of a small dog. One hell of a bite, but not really a threat to a human being. Down here, this is a Nile monitor. Now, this would be a little bit more of a problem, especially for small animals. And then, of course, everyone knows the classic giant American alligator. Basically, the dragon of its day. Now, imagine you're a Spanish conquistador, and it's the 1500s, and you're in Florida, and there's a group of you, and you're walking through a marsh. And a 15-foot-long, 1,000-pound animal with giant teeth roars out of the water, grabs your buddy, and disappears with him under the water. Try relating that story months later back in Spain. You would have been laughed out of the bar. You'd have been laughed out of the church. You'd have been seen as an absolute kook. A crazy person. 15 feet long? Really, 15 feet long. 1,000 pounds. 3-inch giant razor sharp teeth, and nobody saw it, and you walked right up on it, and it literally just exploded out of 3 feet of water, took a fully armed soldier, and disappeared with him. And never to see him again. That's your story? That's your story. You see, in 15th and 16th and 17th century Europe, they would have locked you up for being a nut job. But you were telling the truth. And some would have said, well, you see this little guy right here? Somebody saw this little tiny lizard and thought that they'd found the baby of a giant dinosaur, and they made this all up. Or maybe someone found a tegu. Because of the way that it looks with the forked tongue, they must have figured, well, there must be some giant relative. But there's no such thing as a 16 or 17 foot, 1,000-pound animal with razor sharp teeth that can lie silent in 3 feet of water that you can't even see, and then move lightning fast and take a full-grown man. But what do we know to be true? What do we know to be true? It's very common. They walk across golf courses. Pictures of them everywhere. Now, think about that in the context of this, and think about that in the context of this. You see, now people say, Florida Maquis, you're crazy. You're nuts. You're cuckoo. All that stuff you're seeing off satellite images, there's no way. It's just wind, ice, rock, and stone. You're make-believing things up in your head. That's what they said to the Spanish conquistadors. And those people, that group of people were very religious, very moral people. You see, to you and me, making up fantastic stories and telling them around is, well, it's not something you want to be known for, but it's not the end of the world. To that group of people, that was a sin. To lie, to cook up things from your imagination and then swear them off as truth. Especially if you were lying to the king and the queen or anybody who had commissioned you to go to the New World. That was seen as absolutely punishable under the law to make up lies like that. So you'd better have proof of it. So a lot of guys kept it to themselves. What the truth of the New World was. Now these days, we can talk about, to some extent, things like this. And say, Look at these images. How could, even if Florida Maquis was crazy, how could he have made up all of these images and on top of that provided locations, actual locations, geographic locations that you can go download Google Earth Pro for yourself and find for yourself and look at? I mean, imagine if you could have somehow captured a 17-foot alligator and tied it up and brought it back to Spain. Imagine. Now, given that it was a month journey back there, it would have been pretty ripe, by the time you got it back there, given that they had no ice and no means of preserving it. But, perhaps maybe you could have gotten an arm or a leg, or maybe even a tail. But there was no way they would have believed it until they saw it with their own eyes. And that's unfortunately something I don't think that's going to happen within my lifetime, is that we're going to actually see the discoveries, the things that are revealed from South America, the things that are revealed from Antarctica once the melt really kicks in. And that's unfortunate. But that's why I look into it. That's why I investigate it. Personally, I think if we had a scientific community that was less concerned with political correctness and emotion and more concerned with the realities of the planet, we would have hundreds of thousands investigating the interior of Antarctica by now, not just the edges. The vast majority, and just to leave with this, when you see pictures of Antarctica on other videos where you see the B-roll, basically the drone flying over the sea, and there's all of these icebergs everywhere, and the water's all pretty and pristine. All that stuff you're seeing, with the majestic music behind it, and Antarctica, the unknown continent. Virtually everything that you are seeing, comes from right here. Yep, that's it. Virtually all of the footage that you see online comes from right here. And that's it. You don't see any footage. You might see some from these mountains here, maybe these mountains here, but you see absolutely no footage whatsoever from the interior, from the vast majority of East Antarctica. None. Zero. The only thing we have are these images, these satellite images. And that's where most of my content comes from. But anyway, I will leave it there. But Patriot Nurse, most recent video, everything you know is about to change, the next cycle of history. Definitely check this out. Definitely get trained up with her on her online course. It's only around $100. It's something like that, I believe, and it is worth 10 times that. Trust me, you won't get a better deal for that kind of training anywhere else. So if you have the ability to join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, it's only one US dollar per month. That's for everybody. That's for everything. And it's even less if you sign up for an entire year. It's like I'll come out to 3 pennies a day, 365 days, and it comes out to I believe $10.80, something like that. So you can do the math on how many pennies a day that is. So would love to have you. God bless. Have a great weekend. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.